We're approaching the end of September, and October and November and December represent the final quarter of the year, and there is a lot to be done and a lot that we can accomplish together if we just plan some of our activities. I'm going to talk today about some of the things that I'm using on a regular basis, and also a new planning journal that I bought the other week. I referenced it on a video, but I haven't yet started it. I was hoping to use it over the last few weeks, but I've just been so busy with the new contract that in fact today is my opportunity to open that with you and share it together. So these are my Leica A6 notebooks. I buy these in Mexico City. You can order them directly from Leica. They're fairly new to the idea of mail order, but I think they're brilliant. They work beautifully as a pocket notebook, as a journal sort of activity, but also you know that I like to use them. I'll put those here. You know that I like to use those in my little man bag or my wrist bag that I carry, and I already have 2 Leica notebooks in here that I use almost every day. I certainly use them as my jotting places, and they give me a great deal of pleasure, but also they're so practical. They're easy to carry, and we might come back to those. But these 2 are the next 2 that I'll be using. One of the booklets in here is almost full. The black one I just started this week, and I'm using it in my new work contract, but I need to replace the khaki one with one of these bright babies. I think I'm going to go yellow. I might go pink. I'm yet to be decided. Any ideas, you tell me, and that might even influence my decision. My gut reaction is go for yellow, but I like the warmth of the pink. I think it's a beautiful colour. Let's put those to one side. I've been using for a long time this journal, which I started in February this year. I bought it at Office Depot in the south of Mexico City, where we live, and I find it a really useful tool. And I'm going to be referencing some of the tracking as a really important thing for me, because it keeps me on track and it allows me to know what I'm doing, but also it shows me the progress I've made in the course of a month. In this one, I've referenced, and I'm going to be using the same columns, and I'll transfer them into my new book, but I've got health, writing, reading, writing articles for Medium, also looking at income from dividends and rent and investment activity. I'm tracking that, the source of that money, as well as the value of it, but tracking the source of it. So I'm going to be looking at how I've been using this journal as a tracking tool. But this is what I want to share with you. This I bought from W.H. Smith's in Bradford when I got back from Mexico City just a couple of weeks ago. So I'm going to open this and share what it is and how it looks to be. But it's a beautiful, what does it say? Moderno, softcover A4 brown notebook. It tells me here that I've got 96 ivory pages, but 100 gram paper, or 100 grams per square metre. I'm really looking forward to using this, so let's open it together. I'm going to use my Victorinox knife to do so. I just want to very gently slice open the plastic enough to work my way through it. Okay, let's put the knife away. So here it is. I'm really, really happy to be having this and to be making it as my new journal. I'm going to share with you some of the work I'm doing in my A5 journal currently, but I'm going to make this my new anchor basis for planning and using my notes. So I'm going to take this off. This has such a gorgeous feel. It's very smooth, satiny smooth, but it has a beautiful texture to it. Let's open it for the very first time. So in here, I will obviously be adding my name and email address. I always do that in a notebook on the basis that if I were ever to lose it, hopefully somebody would return it. But these are really lovely pages, and I think these will take to a fountain pen very nicely so that the ink doesn't bleed but I can give it structure, and I'm really looking forward to it. I'm going to set it up this weekend for all of October and November because of the importance of those months to us as indie authors, or to people who love to journal as we move towards the end of the year and the festive seasons. But I'm really looking forward to making use of it. I've got a pocket in the back here, you can see, so I can put photographs, maybe some index cards, and maybe some receipts if I'm out and about in a coffee shop. But this will be my new anchor journal, and it's replacing this, which is tiny by comparison. Look at the difference in size. This is the American letter size, very popular in North America. So I'll take that, and I've got this much more beautiful A4 size journal with this faux leather cover. It's a very weighty piece of stationery, and I'm looking forward to it. I've just realised there is also, let's find it together. It looks like I have got, yes, there it is, if I can find it. So I've got a really nice double silk ribbon, so I can mark maybe a current page and a planning page in my journal as I work through it. But certainly my focus for the next few days is to take important points from my A5 hardback journal and transfer things from here into the anchor journal. So this is my A5 journal that I've been using for about a month and a half. Just before I left Mexico, I wanted to start a new booklet that will serve me. It fits easily in a rucksack. Again, it's got a page tab or a page marker, and again, the same sort of colour in actual fact. This is maybe more of a silvery brown, but it's the same concept. Using that same marker, I've got it at the focus points for this week. I'm just going to run through some of those for you. I've talked in a previous video about the importance to me of understanding what my roles are and how I will focus on those roles. So here I've made quick references on Sunday night, ready to set up for this week, which is the 23rd of September, and will take me through to the very end of the month before we start October. I want to set up a new journal. And that is the booklet I've showed you that I bought from Double Eight Smiths. By the way, it was £16.99 or £17, $20 or so, and it's a nice hefty book. I've marked YT for YouTube, and I've marked some things there. I've got W for the work contract that I just picked up recently, and is the reason I'm here in the UK. M is for money and investment, so I'm looking at rent. I'm looking at tracking my mining of Beepcoin and how I convert that to Bitcoin once a week. I'm also looking at the potential to up my ISA investment from 20% of total income to a different figure as we start October. And I'm going to be looking at tracking some new stocks that I'm interested in purchasing, those which I've already taken for September, and new ones that I'm going to be identifying and hopefully purchasing in October. The A here stands for author, and very much about my role with Nottingham Writers Studio. I want to choose this weekend some dates for October, November and December when I can host what's called a Shut Up and Write event. It's simply a process where maybe 5 or 10 of us will get together once a month for an hour, just sit quietly and write. Then we'll socialise for half an hour, get some lunch, and then go back to writing for an hour before we all set off for our different locations. Shut Up and Write has always been a really good way for me to focus whilst writing in public, but also encourage other people to get the words captured on screen, on their digital device, or in a workbook. The other thing I want to look at is detailing some regular writing activity on a Mexican-based story, possibly up to 40,000 words, maybe 45, but the story is developing nicely. And then some family activity marked with the blue letter for family, and then some holiday activity around that. So that's the general work that I did on Sunday evening. This is how I looked at the things I wanted to get clear on over the course of this week, and I want to fit those into the new journal that I'm going to be setting up. Looking again at the roles, same sort of colour coding, but prioritising them for specific dates or activities. I want to look at setting a regular Tuesday and Thursday aside where I can write in the library after work for 3 hours on each of those 2 nights. Saturday, go to a coffee shop and do some work in a particular place that I feel happy and productive, and that will serve me really well. But also, October and November are hugely important for you and I as writers, because we have the whole process of prepping in October for writing strongly in November. I'm not going to go into great detail about it in this video because this is about planning and structuring and organising your time and your diary. But the NaNoWriMo organisation has been something I've hugely enjoyed being part of, and writing every November to create 30 or 40,000 words, on a couple of occasions 50,000 words, and one of those became this particular book, 10-Minute Budget. That was written entirely during a NaNoWriMo process, and I wrote it using this beautiful machine, which is my AlphaSmart Neo. Great little device, super keyboard. It stores everything you could possibly need for a month's worth of writing. So I've got 8 files here and capacity actually for 80,000 words. It's a beautiful device. It's very ergonomic, brilliant to take out to a coffee shop or to work with in a library, and it's super easy to write with. So that's an AlphaSmart Neo. Using the what was called NaNoWriMo or National Novel Writing Month has been really useful. I love it. The organisation itself has had various issues and points of detail that it's needed to focus on, and it's not for everybody. I think I'm going to develop something else which I'm going to be talking about in a subsequent video, and I'll also put it on the community tab. But it served me really well for lots of writing activity and writing processes over the 5 years really that I've been using November as a place for moving a new writing project forward. And you can see here in my notes from this morning that I've put down the idea of prepping a new book in October, and in November working on a new writing project, and I'm looking forward to that immensely. I've also put down some focus here for YouTube, the idea of launching a video on a Sunday, possibly on a Tuesday as well. One went out today, the one on a recent book haul. I'm looking at the potential here to use YouTube Shorts, little vertical videos of less than 60 seconds, and taking them probably from existing long-form videos that already exist on the channel, as well as perhaps taking a couple from every new video that I create going forward. And then various ideas about putting more tags into my videos so they are more easily found, having some affiliate links to create onward sales and revenue from those, and then more videos about stationery and my everyday carries. The everyday carry again, going back to the sorts of ideas of how I use stationery, the stationery I have with me on a regular basis. One of the things I'm probably going to look at is this little box that I keep on my desk, which I brought back from the office in Mexico, and maybe some videos where I either review or I just talk about my connection to some of the items that are in here. I've got pens that are very cheap, straightforward items, but I love these and I find them hugely useful for writing with. This one is the Pinpoint by a company called Razor, but then also some of my favourites. So this Aer Lingus version of a cross pen that I bought almost 25 years ago. The Beyer 388 that I find very easy to write with. The Platinum Plaisir. It's got a really fine nib, which I really enjoy, but it's a beautiful pen. It's very lightweight, but very well balanced in the hand. And I love that. So yes, I might go through some of these pens and just chat about them, but it's where I keep some of my pens on the desk at home in this old jewellery box. Other things that I want to transfer into my new Anchor journal are the family details of flights and travel, and then last of all, the money side of things, I'm going to increase my savings to 30% of total income and then share it across cash, ISA, a property purchase, and just keep topping up the pension. I've also made a reference in here to some of the coin mining I do, where I basically create new Beep coins every day, and then once a week on a Friday I always convert those to Bitcoin. That's worth exploring. I might do a video on it, I'm not sure. I want to look at our rental activity. And on Fridays I want to use the same process I've used for several years, which is a 10-minute budget process, just to review and focus what I've been doing. So that's the 4 main roles and the details of how I will pop those into this journal. And the idea with the new Anchor journal is that I will use the same sort of structure to run my diary. So I'll have the tracking of a previous month, and then I'll set up my new month and what I think is going to be happening, and having a point of focus for some of the activities. Exactly the same sort of process: family and health, writing, YouTube, and money and investing. How you use your notebooks is a completely personal thing. I just want to share some examples from these. Mine are as basic as having a shopping list: ham, bananas, apples, Yorkshire tea, or I take part in a regular monthly writers critique group because I love writing and I love talking with other writers. So several of us once a month will get together. Here I've made some notes about different people's writing, and then we had a feedback session. They fed back to me, I fed back to them, and it works really well. I like it, and it's a simple process, but I will read somebody's work in the week prior to us meeting up on Zoom. I can add my notes so that when we come to talk on video, I've got my notes. Somebody's raised some questions here, so I've made my notes about what my responses were to the questions he raised about his writing work, and then we just all shared it. And the other thing I've got in here are my notes from my first few weeks in this particular contract that I'm working on. I can highlight certain incidents, points of learning, contacts I've made within the new role, but also I can use these for the feedback when my manager and I have a 1-month review meeting, and we share with each other how things are progressing, how we're getting on, and how myself and a couple of other people are in our new roles. So these are useful, and without these I would be lost. So I think these 2 new ones will be really helpful for me. I'm not convinced, you tell me. I think I'm going to go for yellow, but I'm just going to pop them in here for the time being so that I've got them as a visual reminder of what I might do with my Leica A6 notebooks. So when I do my diary setup on these blank pages in a few days' time for the month of October, I will be sure to fill in all the details and my outline goals for moving into November. Those are predominantly writing and finance goals, and then December and January are very much about family. I hope you found that useful. It's been quite a video in terms of sharing the different component parts of what goes into my journals and my planning activity, but that's the way I do it. It works really well. And if you're new to planning, if you're new to the idea of creating a journal, having some backup documents that you can use to carry with you, to make notes about your books, to consider the conversations that you've had where somebody says something and you think, oh, that was really interesting, I'd like to capture that information. That's where you bring out one of these, add your notes, and like I did in that little session I had the other day for the writers critique group, I did my advanced reading, popped my notes straight into the book so that when we met as a group, I had everything ready to share feedback, and then when my friends in the group fed back to me on what piece I'd submitted, I could make my notes in here and then close the page, and I've got everything in one place. Find the materials that you're happy with. Create a little system that is reliable and robust for you, which you can use to think through the ink, to use pen and paper in an analog way, to capture your thoughts and ideas and to make you more productive, but also calmer and more content because you're completely focused on the roles that are important to you and by which you can make decisions about not just the major aspects of life, but also the regular daily, weekly and monthly goals which are driven by your point of focus on what matters for you. You know the score, you know exactly how I want to finish with a message about what's important, which is happy writing if you're in the writing game, if you're pushing those words forward, but also happy planning and happy tracking of what matters to you in a way that works for you.